Hi guys, as usual, all the links in the video description. I got this audio converter from HiFi College and the price was $250. I'm mentioning this right now because I'm afraid I will forget that later on, as I've actually done a couple of times already. So, have you ever owned Asahi Kasei digital to analog converter before? There was always this thing about AK-based digital to analog converters versus Saber-based ones. There were three camps, basically. One rooting for Saber, the second one for Asahi Kasei, and the third one saying that they cannot hear any difference between them. The debate still rages on, and I have here FX-Audio DA06 digital to analog converter that uses twin AK4493 Delta Sigma converters. I got it along DS07, that's Saber based, just because I wanted to see how much performance we can get from two 4493 ICs, and if it's better than LogsG, the D30 that was based on single AK4493 that I owned and loved and then sold some time ago, as my collection started to grow. So this guy is called DA06 and it's using twin or double Asahi Kasei 4493. For the USB connections, it's using XMOS XU 316, so that's basically pretty much top of the line XMOS chipset. For the Bluetooth connectivity, it's using Qualcomm 5125. That's their flagship from a year or 2 years ago. And internally, it's using Texas Instruments OPA 1612 operational amplifiers. Let's talk some numbers first. The official specification says that the total harmonic distortion is 0.0005%. Signal to noise ratio is specified as 120 decibels, but if you take a look at the AP measurements that are provided on the manufacturer page, you'll see that SNR is actually closer to 125 decibels, and that's a big difference. The dynamic range is 120 decibels, and this digital to analog converter will accept anything up to 768 kHz PCM and DSD 512, plus it does MQA decoding. So pretty much all of the things, all of the standard formats you can find on the market, this guy will be able to decode them. So, as I've said on the product page, and I'll link to that if I won't forget that, you can find AP measurements, and the frequency response graph shows a very slight slide, very slight treble roll-off, starting at 10 kilohertz, reaching something like 0.4 decibels at 20 kilohertz. So it's nothing serious, but the interesting thing is that it's there. It's not completely flat. There is a very slight roll-off. Now, let's talk about the bill and let's talk about the box contents. The converter comes with a remote. This is the same remote as was delivered with DS07. It's plastic, but it works perfectly fine. And it survived 1 or 2 drops already without getting even a single scratch. So that's good. All of my testing was done using Hades 12 volt version. I know these are very hard to come by right now because every time they will produce new batch, it just sells like hot cupcakes. But yes, it did help with the sound quality, because what you're getting in a box with the DA06 is a regular adapter, 12 volt adapter. That's it's okay, I guess, but it's not the best quality. So I would recommend getting either linear power supply for this digital to analog converter, or something like HiFi. By the way, this is pretty nice thing because, yeah, it's universal, so in theory you can use different types of plugs, different types of connectors with this power supply. So let's connect it back again, and let's talk about the menu. You've already seen the startup sequence. You are starting the device up by... sorry, we didn't talk about the external build. Okay, so in the front of the device you have a power on and off switch that doubles as a selector. For the inputs, we have a quite nice LCD display in front of the device, and we have a volume control knob that doubles as a switch too, but you need to press it like that in the middle. Interestingly, the menu does have a scroll. This is actually the first digital to analog converter that has any kind of animation in the menu that I'm aware of. Now, nothing interesting on the sides and on the top. And in the back of the device, we have usual set of inputs: Bluetooth antenna, USB input, optical and coaxial SPDIF inputs. Interestingly, we have two very nice things. We have trigger control. This unit is able to accept trigger, meaning that it can be powered on by another gear, and it can be powering on other devices in chain. You can connect, for example, a power amplifier to this digital to analog converter and power it on and off with the cable here. Another interesting thing here is ability to lift the ground connection from the USB port. The thing is that if you're connecting your PC or if you're connecting your gaming console, if it's not a specially designed PC or console, there's a high chance that the ground connection from the USB will be also conducting some electromagnetic interference. Also, you can have ground loops happening between your source, in this case PC or console, and your audio equipment. So the idea is that you can lift the ground connection, cutting the ground loop and enjoying pure clean signal. This is something that I've actually seen on just a couple of devices during last 15 or 20 years, something like that. It's pretty uncommon. One of those is the Cambridge Audio 75R version 2 AVR that's over there. And I'm telling you this so you'll have some kind of reference for the usual price range where these can be seen. And moving on, we have one set of balanced XLR outputs and one set of RCA outputs, and your usual barrel connector for 12 volts. Now, let's talk about the menu. Let's use the remote. That was for changing the inputs. Yes, you can see them. Unlock is pretty interesting because I thought it's a spelling mistake, but it's not coming from unlock, but it's rather short for not locked. Okay, how do we access the menu here? Nope, you've seen that. Yeah. Interestingly, you have to press EQ button to enter the menu, and let's use that as a stand. Yeah. Once you're in the menu, you can choose input, and the selected one will be great. You can choose output. This guy allows you to choose both RCA and XLRs or one of them. And I'm telling you this because DA07, interestingly, allows you to choose only one of the two. Now, you can choose PCM filter. Again, these have no descriptions, neither here or in manual, but yeah, These are all filters that are available from the Asahi Kasei. You can find the descriptions in the official Asahi Kasei documentation, and as far as I remember, filter 1 was fast and sharp filter, which is basically my favorite one, and they do change the sound signature a little. If you've played with something like that earlier, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't played with that, do play, and using those filters you can tune the sound to your liking. Now, you also have a DSD filter. These are both also described in the Asahi Kasei manual. For me, in this particular instance, the sound signature change is negligible. It's very, very small. Now, moving on to the brightness. Yes, this is an obvious one. You can set the brightness of the display. The next one is dimmer, the usual one. You can set the time after which the display will be shutting down. So let's leave it as at continuous display. Yeah, continued. Let's get it here. And the next one is spectrum analyzer. This is something very interesting because, oh, sorry about that. This digital to analog converter is able to display either spectrum analyzer or level curve if you're using the digital to analog converter. Let's go with this one. And how does it actually work? If you're playing your music for a quick moment after starting playing your music, you'll get information about the frequency, about the bit depth, etc., etc. And later on, the display will show you the actual frequency spectrum. I'll try to show you that by connecting this guy through Bluetooth to my tablet. Yeah, and we have trigger control. We can enable or disable. These are actually like some kind of French sister names. Where are you guys? Yeah, you're here. Annabelle and Isabelle. Yeah, it's funny, but you know what it does. You can enable or disable trigger control. And the line out mode. This is not very obvious, but setting it to front means that you will be able to control the volume of the lineouts with the volume control here. Setting it to direct, meaning that it will work as a pure digital to analog converter without volume control, so reaching full lineout voltages. That's too quick. USB mode is used to determine if you'll be using USB 1 or USB 2.0 mode. USB 1.0 gives you compatibility with gaming consoles, and it will not require any kind of drivers, but it will limit your USB input to something like 96 kilohertz and I think 24 bits, if I remember correctly. USB 2.0 mode will allow you to use ASIO drivers for the digital to analog converter and use all of the available input formats. And you have two more options. You can reset the digital to analog converter to the defaults, or you can return to the menu. That's all about the external build and the menu. And let's talk about the internal build. So if you want to take a look inside of this guy, you'll need a couple of things. The first one is, which one is that? H1.5 for removing the volume control knob. You just need to undo one screw and it's yours. Then you'll need, yeah. Then you'll need H4, I think, no, H.2 to remove two screws in the back. This one, sorry, this one, and this one, yep. And once you do that, you will also need to remove the front panel mounting for the knob, which is basically a hex nut. So this one I think is almost out. Yeah. Second one. Yeah, let's get them here. And the only thing left to remove is this hex nut here. This guy here. Oh, here. So let's remove that one. Let me pause for a second. And it's done. And once it's done, you can slowly slide the front panel away, and then you'll just have to undo one additional flat tape. I have no idea why my camera is hunting so much for the focus. No, I think I know. That's because it's uniform black and it has trouble of finding the right focus. Okay, so you can now slide this out. Yes. And once you slide it out, you can also slide the internal PCB out, but you need to be careful about this guy because it's a very delicate mount. Yep. And now we have it here. So what can we see here on the board? Why it's out of the focus? Yeah, it should be fine now. Okay, so we have an XMOS controller here. We have AKM AK411 chip over here, 4118. We have two symmetric AKM 4493. Sorry about that. Two of them here. We have Altera Max controller for the whole board, and we have three OPA 1612 in the sockets placed over here, along with the capacitor banks. The gold ones, I think the gold ones, yes, they are Nichicons, and the black ones are Rubicons. Yes. And we can also see a Bluetooth board here with Qualcomm chipset 51525. And that's about it. The board looks nice. We have a 12 volts power section over here and over here. Interestingly, there are two LEDs. One, as I understand, would indicate any shorts in the circuit, and the second one, correct 12 volts power supply. The board is neat. The interesting thing that was not mentioned I think it was not mentioned in the manufacturer's page, was the fact that you can replace those guys with something of your choosing. Something precise like OPA 828 or something analog like discrete LC, Acliam LC class operational amplifiers. Maybe even Bursons would make it here. I don't know, that would be a risky thing because it's, yeah, maybe there's not enough space vertically. Okay, so I'll pause the video now and I will assemble that back. See you in a second. Okay, so let's talk about the sound quality. After I got this guy assembled again, I've connected my tablet through Bluetooth, so you'll be able to see the actual spectrum analyzer here. I've also lowered the display off timeout for the 15 seconds. So after 15 seconds, after my last touch of the knob, you'll be able to see the spectrum analyzer, and later on I'll change that to volume level display. So let's talk about the sound quality. The bass is relaxed and slightly warm. It's not super fast, it's not super clean, but it does have a very natural timbre. It sounds quite organic. Low piano notes sound very deep and very natural. Nothing is dry or analytical. I think that mid-bass here is creating this organic feeling, but it's not boosted or anything like that. It just sounds nice without flooding the mids. The mid-range itself has this Asahi Kasei trademark smoothness. The vocals sound very natural and relaxed. Asahi Kasei calls this velvet sound, and yes, there is something like velvet here in this sound signature. There is no sibilance and there is no listening fatigue. The keyword here for the mids is musicality. Moving on to treble. Treble is extended and airy. I couldn't actually hear that small drop-off in the frequency response, but the treble is not full of light, if this makes any sense of you. I would say it's slightly on the darker side. I could also say it has less energy than Sabre-based digital to analog converters, but it does some magic. All string instruments sound sweet, especially acoustic guitars. Treble is very smooth and relaxing, and you can listen to your music for hours without any kind of fatigue. Now, some technicalities. Detail. This digital to analog converter focuses on big picture rather than micro details. This means that you have to look for the small things. They are not served on a plate, but they are waiting for you in the back. Your focus stays with the melody and the flow of the music rather than with technicalities. Let's change that to the level so you'll see how it actually looks. And let's talk about the soundstage and imaging. This is digital to analog converter based on Asahi Kasei, and it shows the soundstage is deep and it's wide, but it's not as deep and wide as with Sabre digital to analog converters. Instruments have good positions in space, though they do not have super clean, super sharp boundaries. But that's the way some of us like. Some of us will like Sabre presentation with very sharp, almost edged boundaries of the sound sources, and the Asahi Kasei has them slightly fuzzy, but they do not overlap. There always is a space between them. The image layers are there, but they are quite close one to another. As I've said, it's not super very deep. Why it's not working? I think we've stopped the playback here. Yep, exactly. Give me a second. Okay, yeah, as I suspected, I've played just one song and it stopped after this first song. So this is how it looks when it's in the view meter mode and there is some music playing. Honestly, I rather prefer spectrum analyzer display or just a clean display with nothing at all. Let's go for the spectrum analyzer then. Yep, here and yeah, here, EQ. And let's talk about the summary. The base scenario for this digital to analog converter for this DA06, as you can see in the FX-Audio webpage, is being, along with LS06 amplifier, a small media center for your TV, console, and maybe CD player too. It doesn't take much space. It's very small, as you can see. This is my hand in the comparison. It's not very tall. It can be trigger controlled and it can trigger an amplifier too. So basically, its role is being invisible but taking your media sound quality to the higher level. I think it works fine for this role, especially when paired with any kind of D-class amplifier because of the smoothness of the Asahi Kasei. This is a very good match for any kind of D-class amplifier because they still tend to sound dry and a tad bit analytical. But this guy paired with such an amplifier will sound great because it will negate all of the negative traits of the amplifier. So DA06 can be paired with dedicated L06 amplifier, as I've seen on the FX-Audio portal. Basically, this is a D-class amplifier that looks very similar. It's exactly the same size. it has the volume control knob in the exactly same space, and you can stack them one on top of another and just place them somewhere in your rack next to your TV. You can also pair it with two L07 amplifiers that I reviewed recently, and I liked them very much. But probably DS07 digital to analog converter based on Sabre will be a slightly better match due to the deeper soundstage. So that's it. If I forgot anything, please give me a shout in the comments. If you have any questions, also reach me in the comments. I am trying to answer them, maybe not exactly on the daily basis, but every second, every third day, I am trying to get there and catch up with all of my comments. Thanks for watching. I hope this review helped you in some way. If you like this video, you can support my channel by subscribing for more content like this. Thanks guys, and have a great day. See you next time. Bye.